Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be tying up a flag designed for the soldiers for the Remembrance Day. This is called the Unknown Soldier. There we go. So I'm going to begin with a Alex Jackson or Daiichi 2051, and the size is 1.5. So I'm going to start just a little bit forward of the point of the hook and do a few wraps to tie it in. I've already waxed my thread for traction, and I'm going to take some Lagartun medium gold, and this is oval tinsel, and I'm going to tie it in just underneath the hook. Bring it back to the point, and then work my way up in touching turns. And that should be good right there. And then I'm going to do open wraps to get the thread out of the way. Then I'm going to wrap this forward in touching turns. One more. There we go. And I'm going to come in behind with my thread, and then I'm going to bring it forward a few wraps. I would bring it up to the return, but I have a dubbed body, so I don't have to really hide it and make it even. Then in open wraps I'm going to go to the front to where the return is, and I'm going to tie in, this is Lagartun flat braid, and it's in chartreuse. And tie that in underneath the hook. Try and make the body as smooth as possible. And then that's just going to hang there. Then I want to build up just a little bit in front of that tinsel so that it's sort of flush with the tinsel. And then I have a GP golden pheasant crest here for the tail that I've prepared, and I'm just going to line this up. There are ways of preparing it to make it line up a little easier, but I just fidget with it most of the time. There we go. That's straight up and down. Then I'll go forward a bit, and then I'll let it skip right to the back again. Next I'm going to take some peacock sword, and I'll take about 1 centimeter of that, pull it straight, and then rip it off, and then I'm going to try and cone them That's not too bad. There we go. Now I want it halfway up the tail. I'm just going to pinch wrap. Go forward a couple times and just to make sure that it's nice. Looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go forward a little bit farther just to even the body out a bit. And when you have stragglers like that, you can use your fingers and push them forward just to tie everything in. Okay. Next I'm going to go back to the tie-in point, and then I'm going to tie in one of these light olive cock magnum capes. This one is actually a Shannon cape, dyed picric olive. You can just use a light olive. And I've prepared a feather. So I've cut a V in it and trimmed it down right here. And then I'm going to take that tag and just pull gently down. And I got my tie-in point here. Do a little bit more trimming here. There we go. I'm going to tie it right under the hook. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to bring back the thread to about 1 millimeter or 1/2 millimeter before the tie-off point on all of those materials. Then I'm going to take Hens Gleamy dubbing in this olive color. Get that ready. And I have my PST dubbing spinner. And I'm just going to make a dubbing loop. So you bring out some thread, put your hook on the thread, give it a little pull, and now you have a V. You tie it in, go behind a couple times, bring it to the shaft again, and then tie back. Now you can get your thread out of the way, and you have this dubbing loop. Then you take your olive dubbing and you spread it out in your fingers like so, and then you want to put that right in between the two strands. So you stick your finger in the bottom where the hook is, and now you have it like that. And you collapse the two strands together by taking your finger out, and now you have it like this. Now you can space it so that it's pretty much even. Then you hold just below the noodle very tightly both strands, and then give it a spin to the left. Do a couple more spins, and now you'll see it is flared out. If it hasn't flared out to your liking, you can give it another couple spins. And then I tend to pick out the loose bits. I have a lot of slack here, but that's okay. Let's go back and forth. Now you want your first wrap to be just ahead of the materials that you tied in, and then bring it back so that it does, and while holding delicate things like the tail and the tail veiling so they don't get knocked about. So I have this so far, and I'm going to tie this off by going in behind it a few times with the thread, tying off the thread tag. And I'll repeat the process till I get to the front. So I'll do another dubbing loop. Get my thread out of the way. Spread some more of this olive. Put it in between. Grab some more. Put that in between. Then I'm going to hold it, give it just a mild spin just to lock in those fibers a little bit, and then I'm going to spread it to make it even. Give it the spins while holding tightly below the noodle, and then you pull out. You can rub up and down the noodle, or just pick it with your fingers or a dubbing needle. It's up to you. And I'm going to continue tie that off. Looks like I'll just need one more dubbing needle. Oops. I just cut my thread, which sometimes happens. So I'll just reapply my thread and then go back into the dubbing a bit, and that should have trapped in the previous tag that I cut. There we go. Now I'm going to do one more dubbing loop. Get that out of the way. Okay, now that I have it trapped, take just a little bit of a spin to lock it in. Repeat the same process. and just pick out the excess. And I'm going to pull back everything. Take a couple of more wraps with the end of the dubbing, and that fell off, so now I'm just going to tie both in at the same time. You gotta keep going on the go. When things seem to need rescuing, you just rescue them along the way. There we go, that's tied in. So now I'm going to do 4 wraps. Evenly. Give it a good tug and tie off my rib. I don't want these stragglers to end up making a bigger head, so I'm going to put those tightly back. There we go. Then I'm going to wrap my hackle, and I'm just going to brush it back, making a nice V. And then I'm going to follow behind the rib. Brushing back as I go. And you can check all the way around to make sure that it's hitting those ribs and not slipping at all. Now we bring it to the front. And do 2 full turns. And then tie it off. With 3 to 4 wraps. Come on the bottom, trim it, there we go. Now I'm going to brush all this back with my fingers, tidy up the head, and now I'm going to apply my black thread. Oops. That was a bit of a mess, but that's okay. And I'm going to cut the waist ends. And tidy up the head. And this concludes part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 when I finish the fly.